Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you told yourself, this time it's different? This time I'll wake up early. This time I'll follow the plan. This time I'll actually do the thing I said I would do. And then a week goes by, maybe two, and you're right back where you started, wondering what's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, but something is wrong with your approach. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Sera Self-Discipline. I'm glad you're here, because if you found this channel, it means part of you is tired of starting over, tired of being excited on Monday and quitting by Thursday, tired of watching other people build the life you want while you sit there trying to figure out where your time goes. Today, we're going to get into something that I think most people get completely backwards, the relationship between motivation and discipline, and more importantly, why the battle for a better life isn't fought in the gym or in the office or in your schedule. It's fought inside your head every single day. So let's get into it. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are temporary. Think about the last time you felt truly motivated. Maybe you watched a video, read a book, heard a speech that lit something up inside you. You felt unstoppable. You made a list. You set alarms. You told yourself tomorrow is the day everything changes. And it felt real. It wasn't fake. That feeling was genuine. But feelings don't maintain themselves. Feelings respond to circumstances. When you're warm, rested, fed, and inspired, motivation flows easily. But the moment life gets uncomfortable, when you're tired, when things get hard, when results aren't coming fast enough, that feeling disappears. And if your entire system depends on that feeling being present, your entire system collapses the second it leaves. This is why people who rely on motivation have a cycle. Get inspired. Start strong. Hit resistance. Lose the feeling. Quit. Feel guilty. Wait to feel inspired again. Repeat. You've been in that cycle. Most people have. I'm not judging. I'm diagnosing. Discipline is different. Discipline is not a feeling. It's a decision that gets made ahead of time. It's you telling your future self what to do before your future self gets a chance to negotiate. When a disciplined person doesn't feel like working out, they work out anyway, not because they're superhuman, not because they never feel lazy, but because they've removed the option to quit from the conversation. The question isn't, do I feel like it today? The question is, what did I commit to? And then they do that thing. That's the shift. From feeling-based action to commitment-based action. Now let's talk about the war inside your head, because this is where everything actually happens. Your brain is not trying to help you build your dream life. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. Your brain is trying to keep you alive and comfortable. It was designed for survival, not ambition. And survival, for most of human history, meant conserving energy, avoiding pain, and staying in familiar territory. This is why your brain resists every new habit you try to build. When you decide to wake up at 5 a.m., your brain doesn't think, great idea, let's optimize for long-term success. Your brain thinks this is unnecessary suffering and I want to stop. When you try to eat clean, your brain doesn't applaud your discipline. It sends cravings. It makes the bad food look more appealing. It convinces you that one cheap meal won't matter. This isn't weakness. This is biology. The problem is, most people interpret this resistance as a sign that they're not cut out for the life they want. They think discomfort means stop. But discomfort doesn't mean stop. Discomfort means you're at the edge of who you currently are. Every time you push through that resistance, every single time, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are building new neural pathways. You are teaching your nervous system that this new behavior is safe, that it is part of who you are. The first week of any new discipline is always the hardest, not because the task is hardest in week one, but because your brain is fighting hardest in week one. It hasn't accepted the new pattern yet. It's still treating it like a threat. But around week 3, something shifts. The resistance gets quieter. The behavior starts to feel less foreign. It's not easy, but it becomes automatic. That's when discipline becomes identity. And identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. Let me talk about identity for a moment, because I think this is the missing piece for most people. James Clear talks about this in his work, and it's something I keep coming back to. the idea that behavior change is really identity change. Most people try to change their actions without changing how they see themselves. And it doesn't stick because the actions are in conflict with the identity. Here's what I mean. If you think of yourself as someone who struggles with consistency, then every consistent action you take feels like you're pretending. It feels unsustainable. Because deep down, you're waiting to go back to who you really are. But if you shift the identity first, if you start seeing yourself as a disciplined person, as someone who does what they say they will do, then every action you take is just confirming what's already true about you. The question changes. Instead of asking, can I force myself to do this? You ask, what would a disciplined person do right now? And then you do that. This isn't delusion. This isn't fake confidence. This is understanding that identity is built through action, and action is guided by identity. You have to choose which direction to run that loop in. Most people wait to feel like a disciplined person before they act like one, but that day never comes. You have to act first. The feeling follows. Start calling yourself a disciplined person, not to others, to yourself. In the quiet moments when no one's watching, when you wake up 5 minutes before your alarm, say to yourself, this is who I am. When you choose a harder option, say, this is what I do. Stack those moments. Collect them like evidence, because your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. Now I want to address something that comes up all the time. People say, but I've tried to be disciplined and it never lasts. What's different this time? And my answer is always the same. The system is different. Or more accurately, you need a system, not just a resolve. Willpower is real, but it's a limited resource. Studies have shown that willpower depletes throughout the day. Every decision you make, every small choice, draws from that pool. This is why successful people make fewer decisions, not more. They automate the mundane. They design their environment. They remove choices so that willpower never has to be involved. If your willpower is the only thing standing between you and your goals, you will eventually lose, not because you're weak, because willpower was never designed to carry that weight alone. Here's how you build a system instead. First, you reduce friction for good behaviors and increase friction for bad ones. Want to work out in the morning? Sleep in your gym clothes. Put your shoes by the door. Have your water bottle ready. Make it so that not going to the gym takes more effort than going. Want to stop scrolling at night? Put your phone in another room before bed. Put a charger there. Make getting to your phone inconvenient. You don't need discipline for something that's inconvenient. Inconvenience does the work. Second, you schedule non-negotiables. Not goals, not intentions. Appointments with yourself that are treated with the same seriousness as a meeting with your most important client. If your workout is scheduled at 6 a.m., it's a 6 a.m. appointment. You don't cancel on yourself. Third, you track. Not obsessively, but consistently. Because what gets measured gets managed. When you can see your streak, when you can see that you've shown up 14 days in a row, the desire to protect that streak becomes its own motivation. You stop doing it for the result and start doing it for the identity marker. Let's talk about the role of environment, because I think this is underrated. You are not just a person. You are a person in a context. And context shapes behavior more than we like to admit. Think about it. When you're around people who read, you read more. When you're around people who complain, you complain more. When your desk is clean, you think clearly. When it's cluttered, your mind feels cluttered too. This isn't coincidence. This is your environment constantly sending your brain signals about what kind of person you are and what kind of behavior is normal here. If you want to build discipline, you need to audit your environment ruthlessly. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they building something? Are they growing? Are they serious about their goals? Because whether you like it or not, you are averaging their habits, their energy, their standards. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean being intentional. Spend more time with people who challenge you. Seek out environments where excellence is a norm, not the exception. Let the social pressure work for you instead of against you. And look at your physical space. Is your environment designed for the person you want to become? If you want to read more, books should be visible and accessible. If you want to eat better, your kitchen should make that easy. If you want to work without distraction, Your workspace should be free of things that pull your attention. Environment design is not weakness. It is intelligence. The smartest players design the game in their favor before it starts. I want to spend some time on a concept that I call the 2-minute rule of starting, because I think procrastination is one of the biggest killers of discipline, and it doesn't get addressed properly. Procrastination is not laziness. Let me say that again because it matters. Procrastination is not laziness. Procrastination is almost always one of three things: fear of failure, fear of imperfection, or a task that feels too big to start. And the solution to all three is the same. You make the start so small that it becomes impossible to say no. Tell yourself you'll just open the document. Just put on your running shoes. Just do 2 minutes of the thing you've been avoiding. That's it. That's the whole commitment. What you'll find 9 times out of 10 is that once you start, you keep going. Because starting is the hardest part. The brain resists the beginning. But once momentum kicks in, once you're actually in the work, the resistance drops away. This is why professional writers write every day, even when they don't feel inspired. Because they know that inspiration comes from the work, not before it. They sit down, they start, and 20 minutes in, ideas are flowing that were completely inaccessible when they were sitting on the couch waiting to feel ready. You are never going to feel ready. That feeling is a myth. Ready is a decision, not a state. So the next time you're avoiding something, shrink it. Make the first action laughably small. Tell yourself you're just doing 2 minutes. Just starting. And then start. Now I want to talk about failure, because this is where most people abandon discipline entirely. You will miss a day. You will break a streak. You will have a week where everything falls apart. And when that happens, the voice in your head is going to say, "See? You can't do this. You always quit. Nothing ever changes." That voice is a liar, but it's a convincing one. Here's the truth about failure and discipline. It's not about whether you fall. It's about how quickly you get back up. Research on habit formation shows that missing once has almost no impact on long-term habit strength. Missing twice in a row is where the real damage starts, because the second miss feels more normal than the first, and the third miss feels almost inevitable. So the rule is simple. Never miss twice. That's it. 1 miss is human. 2 misses is the beginning of a new identity. Protect the comeback more than you protect the streak. And when you do fail, and you will, don't punish yourself. That doesn't help. What helps is getting back to your next scheduled action as fast as possible. Today was bad. Tomorrow is fresh. This week fell apart. Monday is coming. The structure remains even when you step outside of it temporarily. Also, please stop expecting perfection. Perfection is the enemy of consistency. A person who shows up at 80% every day will always outperform the person who shows up at 100% occasionally. Be the person who always shows up, even when it's not your best, even when the session is shorter than planned, even when the output is mediocre. Showing up is a discipline. Quality improves over time when quantity is consistent. Let's talk about the long game, because discipline without patience is just frustration. We live in a world that promises instant results. Lose 20 pounds in 30 days. 6 figures in 60 days. 6-pack in 6 weeks. And none of that is real. Or more accurately, it's not sustainable. Because anything that comes fast can leave just as fast. Real transformation is slow. Real transformation is boring. And real transformation requires you to find meaning in the process, not just the outcome. The person who loses 50 pounds and keeps it off didn't do it with a crash diet. They changed their relationship with food. They change how they think about movement. They build an identity as a healthy person. That took years, not weeks. The person who built a successful business didn't do it by finding a hack. They showed up every day. They learned. They failed. They adjusted. They kept going when there was no visible progress. And then one day, the compound interest of all those unseen days paid out. This is the hardest part of discipline. Trusting the process when you can't see the results. Continuing to plant seeds when it looks like nothing is growing. But here's what I want you to hold on to. Every day you show up, something is happening, even when you can't see it. The neural pathways are strengthening. The habits are consolidating. The identity is forming. You are becoming the person who achieves what you want to achieve. That process is already happening. It just doesn't make for a good before and after photo yet. Give it time. Give it years, not weeks. And measure your progress not by where you are, but by who you're becoming. One more thing before I wrap up today, and I think this might be the most important thing I say. So stay with me. Discipline is not about punishing yourself into productivity. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's not about suffering through life in the hope that someday it pays off. True discipline is actually an act of self-respect. When you keep your commitments to yourself, you are telling yourself, I matter. My goals matter. My time matters. What I want for my life is worth protecting. When you break your commitments, when you keep hitting snooze, keep skipping to work, keep saying tomorrow, you are telling yourself a different story. You are building a track record of not showing up for yourself. And over time, that record becomes belief. And that belief becomes your ceiling. The most confident, most capable, most fulfilled people I've ever seen or read about are not people who had everything handed to them. They are people who build an unshakable trust with themselves, who knew deep in their bones that when they said they were going to do something, they did it. Not always perfectly, not without struggle, but they did it. That trust is everything. It's the foundation of real confidence, not the confidence that comes from compliments or success or other people's approval. The confidence that comes from knowing you don't quit on yourself, knowing that your word to yourself means something. And you build that trust one decision at a time, one kept promise at a time, one morning at a time. So here's where we land today. Motivation is a visitor. It comes and goes. Don't build your life on something that visits. Discipline is a practice. It's a decision made in advance, honored in the present, compounded over time. The war inside your head is real. Your brain will resist. That's normal. Push through it anyway. And understand that every time you do, you're changing who you are at a biological level. Build systems, not just resolve. Design your environment. Remove friction. Schedule non-negotiables. Track your progress. Build identity before behavior. Call yourself a disciplined person. Collect evidence. Let the identity drive the action. Never miss twice. Fall, get up, move on. Protect the comeback. Reject perfection and commit to consistency. Play the long game. Trust the compound effect. Find meaning in the process, not just the prize. And most importantly, recognize that discipline is self-respect in action. It is you showing up for yourself every single day. That's it for today's episode. If this resonated with you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Every big channel started with one listener sharing with another. I'll see you in the next one. Keep showing up.